Alright guys, so in today's video we are going to be looking at every single comic book movie or TV show that is going to be coming out in 2025. No, I have not yet done my ranking video for all of the comic book movies and TV shows from 2024. I have to wait for Creature Commandos to end. Unfortunately, James Gunn has screwed me over, so I'm not quite able to get that done until next week. But either way, let's get into this video. So, on January 16th, we have Harley Quinn Season 5. Now, I am a pretty big fan of this show. I absolutely love the first two seasons. That being said, the past two seasons, seasons 3 and 4, haven't really been as good. I still enjoy the show for what it is, but they have yet to get to the same heights that they once were. Now, I will say, I did watch the Kite Man spin-off show, and that was better than seasons 3 and 4 of Harley Quinn. So I think that this team might be getting their groove back. I like that it takes place in Metropolis, so I'm hoping that they have like fresh material for jokes and whatnot, and I hope that they are able to make the Harlivy relationship more interesting. It does feel like it's kind of been running running its wheels for the past two seasons. We'll see. I like the trailer a lot. I think that this could be. I think they could be getting their mojo back. So we will see. At not number. I'm not ranking anything here. Sorry. On January 29th, we have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So this is, of course, the upcoming animated Spider-Man series. I cannot say that I am particularly positive on this one. The main thing at the moment is the animation. I kind of hate it. Like, it looks like the Ultimate Spider-Man game on GameCube, and not in a good way. I get that they're going for like a sort of 1960s art style, like they're kind of harkening back to it, and I like that in theory, but I think it's just kind of being ruined by this cheap 3D animation that they're trying to do here. It's just not great. And at the end of the day, like, if it's a good show, it's a good show. I can get past all of that. But as far as the story is concerned, there's not really a ton about this trailer that really intrigued me. It just kind of seems a little kiddie, a little generic. But, I'll definitely give it a chance. At the end of the day, I am definitely in the mood for a Spider-Man cartoon, right? It's been a minute since we've had a good one, right? Spectacular Spider-Man, I think, I would say was the last great one. I'll be honest, like I tried watching the one that started in like 2017, and it was actually horrendous. So at least this looks better than that. I will give it that. Actually, I will say the one thing that does kind of intrigue me is the fact that I remember when they first revealed this, it was supposed to be like the Tom Holland Spider-Man, like an origin story for him, or at the very least him in his early stages. But I mean, you can pretty obviously see that they've kind of moved beyond that. Like, it's more of like a what if situation where it's like, what if Norman Osborn started mentoring Peter Parker instead of Tony Stark? That's kind of how they've been positioning this with the promotional materials. So that aspect of it does kind of intrigue me. Like the fact that Norman Osborn knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. It's like that is at least somewhat interesting, but in execution so far, I'm not really impressed. Okay, next up, on February 6th, we will get Invincible Season 3. So I gotta say, I am kind of impressed that we're getting Invincible Season 3 this quickly. I think they got their shit together, because there was, I believe there was a pretty big gap between the first two seasons, and then they did that bizarre thing where the second season had like a mid-season break, and it really killed the momentum of the show. I feel like I think that's the main reason why it just wasn't really in the zeitgeist as much as season 1 was. But at the end of the day, man, it's not for lack of quality, because season 2 was also very good. and we're getting season 3 right really quickly after season 2. There's not going to be any season break. It's like all 8 episodes are going to come, weekly. And yeah, man, I think this looks great. Somebody that has read the comics, I'm really excited to see them adapt future storylines. And Invincible is great, and I cannot wait for more. All right. On February 14th, we get Captain America Brave New World. So this is a movie that I wish I was more excited about. Like, I absolutely adore Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think that it is a pretty underrated MCU series. Now, don't get me wrong, has its issues, but at the end of the day, I really love following Sam Wilson and his like sort of journey to accepting the mantle of Captain America. I really love what they did with Bucky in that show. And them going back to the Winter Soldier, doing a spy political thriller, like this should be something that I'm all in on. But I can't really ignore all the behind the scenes, reports saying that they filmed a version of this movie and then they like tested it and it was apparently just not good. So then they went back and they reshot the whole thing, and then apparently they did more reshoots after that. And to be clear, like all of these comic book movies do some amount of reshoots. So it's not reshoots aren't necessarily a bad thing, but this is like more than usual. Like this is an exceptional situation. And I will say the trailers do look pretty good, right? Like they definitely do. But I don't know. I can't ignore the fact that all the behind the scenes commotion is just not making me all that hopeful for this one. And when I say that the trailers look good, I don't think they look like amazing or anything. So there's that as well. I hope this movie's great. I really love Sam Wilson. I'm rooting for this one, but we shall see. All right. On March 4th, we have Daredevil Born Again. So this is, of course, the continuation of the Netflix Daredevil series. Kind of similarly to Captain America Brave New World. I'm a little worried about this one because there were also reports of this one where they shot this series, and then when they were looking at it, they realized that this isn't it. Kevin Feige realized that this isn't it, so they proceeded to reshoot the entire series again. And now, because initially it wasn't going to be connected to the Netflix series, they were essentially going to make the Netflix stuff non-canon. And then when they decided to retool the show, they decided that, okay, now it is actually a continuation of the Netflix series. They weren't going to bring back Karen and Foggy. Now Karen and Foggy is back. We just saw Punisher in there. So, but it's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, I'm a little cautiously optimistic, I think I'll say, about the show, because it's like, when you have a lot of commotion behind the scenes like that, when you have a bunch of reworkings, when you have a bunch of cooks in the kitchen, making decisions like that, sometimes it doesn't turn out too well. And so I'm hoping for the best when it comes to Captain America Brave New World and Daredevil Born Again. Daredevil is another project where I should be head over heels excited for it because Daredevil is my favorite Marvel show. Yeah, I mean, it's like the Netflix Daredevil series is better than anything that Marvel Studios has done on Disney Plus, except for maybe X-Men 97. I'd really have to sit down and think about that. Definitely better than anything that they've done with the MCU. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I will say it is a 9-episode season, so that does give me some amount of hope. It's not one of these 6-episode limited event series, which oftentimes does not turn out well. All right. On March 21st, we have Batman Ninja versus Yakuza League. That's a name. So it's March 21st. This movie's coming out in Japan. So we don't actually know when it's coming out in the United States. Warner Brothers, I get that this is an anime thing, but you can't give the Japanese things, okay? You need to leave. They can't have something over us. I refuse. So this is interesting. I think that it's basically, I think the Yakuza League is just like some alternate version of the Justice League. So I think that this is basically Batman versus the Justice League, but it's an anime. I don't know. It looks interesting. I will say, it's kind of similarly to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I like the idea of a Batman anime, but they're kind of ruining it with this shitty 3D animation. It looks better than your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, to be clear, but there are still certain moments where I'm like, ugh, I wish this was 2D. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I'll be honest, I tend to not watch these like straight to DVD DC animated movies, so I may or may not check it out, but I did want to include it on this list nonetheless. All right. On May 2nd, we are getting Thunderbolts. I gotta say, this is a surprising one for me as far as my anticipation. Like, if you would have asked me a couple years ago if I would be looking forward to Thunderbolts more than Captain America Brave New World, I would have called you a silly goose. I would have said, absolutely no way, Jose. But I think the trailers for this movie look kind of fucking awesome. And whereas I watched the Thunderbolt or the Captain America Brave New World trailer and I can see like shoddy VFX, I can sort of see what scenes are reshoots, and I kind of feel that that's a movie that's kind of being put together at the last minute. I look at this movie and this feels like a film. This feels like, like a classic MCU film. I love seeing that they're bringing back Bucky, making him a badass. It's cool, man. I think the dynamic between the Thunderbolts team actually looks like a lot of fun. Like Ghost, surprisingly, it was like a nothing character in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think she's coming across great in this. I like they're picking like side characters that were actually, like, when you really think about it, standouts kind of in their movies. Like John Walker was actually kind of great in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Red Guardian was actually pretty great in Black Widow, as was Yelena. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily, it kind of snuck up on me, but as I was watching the trailers for Thunderbolts, I kind of realized this looks awesome, actually. So I'm looking forward to this one. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint. All right. On June 24th, we have Ironheart. So this is an interesting one. On the one hand, Riri Williams didn't really leave much of an impression in Wakanda Forever. That being said, we haven't gotten a trailer for it, but these clips that you're watching here come from like a teaser that they put about things coming to Disney Plus in 2025, and I'm looking at that footage and I'm going like, that actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna reserve full judgment until we get like a full-on trailer for the show, but at least as far as like the visual effects are concerned, they look shockingly good. Like they clearly put a good amount of money into this. And I didn't dislike the character in Wakanda Forever, but I just didn't walk out of it going like, oh yeah, I need to see her Disney Plus show. Like that's not really the impression that I got. But I'm definitely open to liking this character more in the future and in this series. I think the main thing, and also, no nanotech. Thank whatever higher being you worship, because I have absolutely detested the degradation of Iron Man suits in the MCU. Nanotech bullshit fucking sucks, okay? Look at this. Look how good this looks. Look, she's fucking creating it with her bare hands. Look at the interlocking mechanisms. Hell yeah, dude. Like that is so much cooler. Like having a faceplate come over your head is so much cooler than the fucking retarded like nanotech or like just fucking covering your face. Like it's so, yes. Ironically, the actual Iron Man suits coming back like legitimately make me more excited for this show. But yeah, we'll see. The main problem that this has is that it is a six episode limited event series. So Disney Plus does not have a good track record with those, I guess. Although to be fair, I do really like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, despite the issues that it has in being a 6 episode limited event series. So we'll see. We'll see. All right. On June 11th, we have Superman. This is a big one. This is probably on this list the thing that I am most anticipating. Not only as a Superman movie, but also mostly as a James Gunn movie, and second mostly as the start of the DCU. I mean, there's a lot riding on this movie, right? Like, if this thing comes out and completely flails out the gate, I mean, they're probably just not even going to continue with the DCU, right? We might not get Supergirl. We might not get, the Lanterns HBO series. We might not get, Batman Brave and the Bold. We might not get The Authority, right? Like, it's all riding on this movie. Now, I don't think that this movie needs to make like $1 billion or anything like that. I think they would probably be happy with $600 million to start off. I think they would probably accept like $400 million to start off. But what this movie definitely needs to be is great, right? Like, the people that watch the movie have to come out of it saying that it is amazing. And you need to start building up the word of mouth around the not the MCU, the DCU. And this, yeah, man, like it's a lot on James Gunn's shoulders. But I will say, I have yet to watch something from James Gunn that I don't at least like. And most of them I love, right? Like, I love all 3 Guardians movies. I love Peacemaker. I like the Suicide Squad. I don't love the Suicide Squad. And right now I will say I am liking Creature Commandos. I can't say I'm loving Creature Commandos, but the one thing I will also say about Superman, just judging from the trailer, is it doesn't feel like a James Gunn movie. It feels like he's, doing something new for him, which I think also probably speaks or is good news for the DCU, that it doesn't look like he's going to be making everything just a James Gunn show or a James Gunn movie, which I think is pretty important. So yeah, man, no pressure, James, but you kind of got to deliver with this one. All right. On July 25th, I suspect that this movie might get delayed, but as of right now, it's still on July 25th. We have Fantastic Four First Steps. So we don't have any footage to show. Although I know there was some stuff that was leaked, but I don't know. I'm just going based off of official stuff that have been released by the studios. Okay, so this is some promotional artwork, but this is actually one that I am curious about. Although I can't say that I'm like fully hyped about it, and the main reason for that is just because I don't care about the Fantastic Four, right? Like, the original Fantastic Four movies with like Chris Evans and oh god, what's her name? I'm forgetting who played Sue Storm. Doesn't matter. Those aren't great. I mean, I enjoyed them as a kid, but like, let's be real, they're not great. And then you had Faint Four Stick, which was awful. So I've never gotten a chance to fall in love with the Fantastic Four. So I don't know. I can't really pretend to be like all that excited about an MCU take on it. The MCU has to make me fall in love with the Fantastic Four. That being said, I'm definitely interested in it from the perspective that it's going to take place not in Earth 616, right? So it's not technically going to take place in the mainline MCU timeline, which I actually really like. I like the idea of essentially doing an Elseworld story, kind of like how the Batman is an Elseworld story to the DCU. The Fantastic Four is kind of going to be an Elseworlds thing. Now, of course, because we're dealing with multiverse bullshit, they're going to show up in Secret Wars. They're going to come out of a portal or something, or maybe at the end of this movie, they're going to go through a portal and end up in Earth 616, setting up Avengers Doomsday. But at least for most of the movie, it will essentially be an Elseworlds movie, and that sounds cool. I like the idea of this, like, this like retro futuristic thing that they're setting up, where it's going to have like a 1960s vibe, but then it's also going to have advanced futuristic technology. Like, that just sounds interesting. That sounds like something new for the MCU, when a lot of MCU content has felt very bland. I'm really looking for this movie to have like a unique visual style that separates it from a lot of other recent MCU stuff. So I'm open for it, but I can't pretend that I'm like overly excited about it because I'm not really. All right. On August 6th, we have Eyes of Wakanda. And yeah, literally the footage that I showed you is all that we have. um, I can't say that I'm really expecting much from this show because it is only 4 episodes, which is even less than the 6-episode limited event series. So I don't know. I unless it's like a fucking BBC show where it's like Sherlock and it's each episode is like an hour and a half long. I doubt it. But yeah, from what I understand, this is in the MCU like Earth 616 timeline, which I believe makes it the first animated series to be MCU proper. But it's just gonna be, I think, tell certain stories in the history of Wakanda. So like we kind of, if we pull up this footage again, I think this is like a certain time period where this guy is like a Black Panther of a certain time period. And then this is probably some other time period, or are those the same people actually? They might be. There's like the lady with the white hair. No, the lady with the white hair in this frame is like fully white. Oh no, this lady is also fully white. Okay, those might be in the same time period. I don't know, but I think it's going to be somewhat of an anthology show where each episode takes place in a different time period throughout Wakanda's history. So that sounds interesting, but it might also run into the what if problem where if we're dealing with different characters in each episode, then they just might not end up having enough time to tell a compelling story. And that's kind of the problem that what if run into. But yeah, I don't know. If it was more than 4 episodes, I think I would be way more interested in it. But with it being 4 episodes, I'm not gonna put, or with it just being 4 episodes, I'm not gonna put a bunch of expectations on it. But I'll check it out and hopefully I'm pleasantly surprised. All right. In August, we don't have a definite release date, but it's sometime in August. We have Peacemaker Season 2. So this is a show that is interesting. So it'll be coming out after Superman. And it is in the DCU, but this is going to be one of the big challenges of James Gunn's DCU, right? Where it's like, okay, so if this is in the DCU, then does that mean that Peacemaker is in the DCU? And then if Peacemaker is in the DCU, does that mean that the Suicide Squad is in the DCU? This is as far as I understand it as of right now. I think that Peacemaker Season 2 is definitely in the DCU. Anything before Creature Commandos, though, is not in the DCU. However, stuff that is in the DCU, if it references something from the old DCEU, then that event that is being referenced, that did happen in the DCU. Like, an event similar to that happened in the DCU. So, for example, in Peacemaker Season 2, we're going to hear that that Peacemaker killed Rick Flag, right? Because Rick Flag Sr. is going to be in Peacemaker Season 2. However, that does not mean that the rest of the Suicide Squad happened as shown in the Suicide Squad, right? It doesn't mean that Harley Quinn was there. It doesn't mean that King Shark was there. The only thing that means is that Peacemaker killed Rick Flag. And Rick Flag Sr. is now coming to get revenge or something. Well, we'll see exactly how that plays out in Peacemaker Season 2. So, is it confusing? Yes. Will general audiences be confused by it? Possibly. But at the end of the day, I'm not as worried about that as a lot of people are. I think that the most important thing is that it's good, right? Like, at the end of the day, even if I'm a little confused, if Peacemaker Season 2 is great, am I really going to care that much? I personally won't. And my assumption is that general audiences probably won't either. So, we'll see, though. We'll see. All right. On October 3rd, we get Marvel Zombies. So, this is an interesting one in the sense that it is it's like a full, or it's like a series that's being spun out of What If, where this series takes place in the same continuity as that Marvel Zombies What If episode. So this is the first time that they've done that, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So that's kind of interesting, right? Like it does kind of address one of my problems with What If, which is that they just don't really ever have enough time to properly flesh out a story. So I thought that the Marvel Zombies episode was fine. But so maybe this will kind of help that somewhat if I take it along with that episode. But at the end of the day, I still have it's the same problem with Eyes of Wakanda, where it's only 4 episodes. So I don't know. I don't know if I can really have much hope for this one. So I'm kind of taking the same approach of Eyes of Wakanda. It's like, I like it in theory, right? I like Marvel Zombies in theory, but I'm just not going to get too excited about it or put too much expectations on it with it being a 4-episode season. Again, hopefully it comes out and surprises me. We shall see. All right, so next up we have Wonder Man. So this show is interesting. So I don't know anything about Wonder Man in the comics, but just judging on not the trailer, again, this was part of that upcoming in 2025 Disney Plus teaser, so we have not gotten a full trailer, but just based on the footage that we do have, it seems like Wonder Man is an actor that's playing a superhero, but it's unclear if he has any superpowers himself. Now, I would assume that he will get superpowers, right? Because it's a Marvel show, but part of me would actually be kind of interested in seeing like a comedy, because I think it's going to be a comedy as well. Part of me would actually be kind of interested in seeing a comedy about just normal people in the MCU, where like we kind of learn where they're like the comedy is surrounding things that are happening in the MCU and maybe repercussions of things that have happened in the MCU. I'm like, I kind of like that in theory, but I don't think that it's what it's gonna be. I think that he is gonna get superpowers and it is gonna become a superhero TV show at some point. But what if it wasn't? We'll see. We don't actually know how many episodes this is. The head of Marvel TV, Brad Winderbaum, he's talked about how he thinks it's going to be 8 episodes, but he didn't confirm that. So I think it'll definitely be more than 6, so that makes me hopeful. So we'll see. I'll definitely need to wait for an official trailer before I can really make up my mind. All right, so everything else that we have here has a vague... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to go back to that. What am I doing? Okay, sorry. Everything else that we're gonna do here has like a vague 2025 release date. We'll see. Some of this stuff might not even come out in 2025, so we'll just have to wait and see. So. In 2025, at some point, we should be getting Gen V Season 2. I really like the first season of Gen V. We know that the plan right now is for this to come out sometime in 2025, and then The Boys Season 5 will come out sometime in 2026. So, is it kind of annoying that, we're not getting annual TV shows? Yeah, but at least I can kind of appreciate the fact that, Amazon is doing a cheeky little thing where it's like in 2023, I think we got Gen V. Then in 2024, we got The Boys Season 4. Then in 2025, we're going to get Gen V. Then The Boys Season 5 is going to come out in 2026. So they're kind of annualizing The Boys in some way. So we'll see. I am also excited because I know that they've talked about how this season is going to be them... our Gen V cast living and existing within Homelander's America. That's actually pretty cool, actually. Like, the idea that we get the end of season 4, and then we get an entire season of Gen V to actually exist within Homelander's America. That's actually pretty smart. I think that will actually make season 5 better in some instances, because we'll have had time to live in this world, and so it'll make our regular The Boys crew, their fight to stop Homelander, I think it'll make it a little more impactful. So we shall see exactly when it'll come out, but I am looking forward to it. All right, sometime in 2025, apparently we are also getting Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. I believe this is the only big game, like comic book game, that's slated to be coming out in 2025, and it looks pretty sweet, man. Like, I gotta say, I haven't been exactly the highest on Marvel movies as of late. If this was a trailer for a movie, it would immediately jump up to my most anticipated MCU movie. But yeah, so for people that don't know, it is a game set in 1943, right in the middle of World War II, before Captain America turned into a popsicle, and it's basically him meeting the Black Panther of that era, and it's a Captain America and Black Panther game. It is being directed by Amy Hennig, who I believe created Jak and Daxter, but also created Uncharted. So she's a pretty storied video game developer. So this is like her next thing, I believe, since Uncharted 2 or 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. She's had not the best of luck. Like, I know she was doing a Boba Fett game at some point, which got shut down. But it seems like this project is going through, and yeah, man, at least as far as this cinematic trailer goes, I am really interested in the story. Definitely want to see gameplay. But if this thing really does just end up being like Uncharted, but with Captain America and Black Panther, I mean, sign me up, man. Apparently there are going to be 2 other playable characters. We just saw that lady right there, and the soldier. So I will say it does run the risk of us playing through the sections as those 2 characters and kind of just feeling like, all right, can we get back to Captain America and Black Panther? Like, it definitely does run that risk, but either way, man, this looks awesome. I kind of wish it was a movie, but also kind of happy to be able to play through it in some instances, or in some ways, I guess. But yeah, sometime in 2025, this is definitely one of those projects that I would not be shocked if it ends up being delayed. They definitely don't be surprised by that. But as of right now, it is indeed, as it says here, coming 2025. All right. Expected to be coming in 2025. That is what Matt Reeves said about this. But expected to be coming in 2025 is Batman Caped Crusader. I liked the first season a lot. That being said, it's not like the first season wasn't necessarily on the level of like X-Men 97 or Invincible. Like it unfortunately wasn't quite as good as I think a lot of us wanted it to be. That being said, I did really enjoy it, and I would say that the groundwork is absolutely there for it to get to those heights. If you didn't watch it, Batman Caped Crusader is like a Batman animated series that kind of takes place. Yeah, I don't think they say exactly what year it takes place in. It still, I think, is trying to feel a little timeless, but it kind of has the feeling of taking place in like, the 1950s or the 1960s. And it really leans into like some of the more detective-y elements of Batman. It's not quite like the Batman where it's trying to be ultra gritty and realistic. Like, even in that first season, there were fantastical elements to it. But for the most part, it's trying to be sort of grounded and gritty. And it was good. It was cool. I liked some of the different takes that it had on characters. Like, has a pretty different take on Harley Quinn, which I know upset some people, but I actually really liked it. Basically, like, Harley Quinn becomes Harley Quinn without the Joker, and she's not at all like the Harley Quinn that we traditionally know. But I like what they did with her a lot, actually. And yeah, well, I'm definitely excited to see the next season. Hopefully it's a little better than the first season, though, because I wanted it to reach those heights of like X-Men 97 and Invincible, but it just didn't quite get there. So we'll see, though. All right. Also, sometime in 2025, we're going to be getting, Aztec Batman Clash of Empires. This is a straight to DVD DC animated movie about like an Aztec Batman. I mean, the title is pretty self-explanatory. This is one of those that I'm not really sure what to expect from this. It's a DC animated, straight to DVD animated movie, which, those are sometimes pretty good, but oftentimes not. So I don't know. We'll see. Sometime in 2025, we're also going to be getting The Sandman Season 2. Now, I am not a fan of The Sandman as far as like the comics are concerned, but I really loved the first season of The Sandman. It is, if you don't know, it is about the Sandman, the god of dreams or whatever. And it's a pretty like somewhat trippy, not necessarily maybe that's a bad word to describe it, but it is like the episodes are they have sort of these like somewhat self-contained arcs, which I thought was like really interesting. But there is still sort of this broad narrative to it. But yeah, there was just a lot of really really cool explorations of themes in the first season. Like, I think there's that one episode where the Sandman makes a friend and he kind of gives him immortality, and they have sort of this agreement where I think it was like every 100 years they would meet up in this bar. And that was like unironically one of the best episodes of TV that I think I've ever seen. I really loved that episode. The last 2 or 3 episodes, I will say, were a little weird. It just like they start following this girl and her brother, and it's like it just kind of feels like a different show at the end. It's not bad necessarily, but it just felt different and weird, and not necessarily in a good way. But that being said, that didn't diminish the season at all for me. I still really enjoyed it, and it doesn't like diminish my excitement for a season 2 like at all. I will say I tried to watch the like spin-off thing that they had, Dead Boy Detectives. I was enjoying it. It was pretty fun, but when I heard that it got canceled, I kind of like ruined my interest in it. But I'll probably try to I'll probably try to finish it before Sandman season 2, just in case, there's some kind of crossover. I think there was like an animated special episode, wasn't there? And I'll probably try to watch that as well. So yeah, Sandman season 1 I thought was really great. Definitely looking forward to season 2 sometime in 2025. Who the hell knows when? All right, so the last thing we're going to be talking about here is sometime in 2025, I assume. This has not been officially announced, but I would assume that we will be getting My Adventures with Superman Season 3. So I only put this on this list because even though it's not officially announced or confirmed, they've been releasing this series annually, right? In 2023, I think we got the first season. In 2024, we got the second season. Unless they come out and confirm otherwise, I assume that we'll be getting the third season sometime this year. And I gotta say, man, I absolutely adore My Adventures with Superman. I think that, yeah, it's the first piece of Superman media that I watched that made me fall in love with the character. Kind of like X-Men 97, actually, where, I don't know, like, I've watched a lot of Superman movies, or not, sorry. The only Superman movies that I really watched were the Snyderverse movies, like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And it's like, I liked Man of Steel. I can't say I really like Batman v Superman, but I like Man of Steel, but it didn't make me love Superman, right? Like I never loved Henry Cavill's version of Superman, and that was my Superman as a kid. And then like I remember I watched like a few seasons of Smallville. I kind of fell off of it. I'm actually getting through Smallville like right now as we speak, and I'm like on season 8. But when I initially watched Smallville, I liked it, but I ended up falling off of it. And, that's just like, it's not really Superman. It's just like Clark Kent. It's actually kind of funny watching Smallville right now because it's getting pretty absurd where Clark is literally a superhero in Metropolis, but the show just refuses to call him Superman. It's like ridiculous. But but yeah, and then I watched Superman and Lois as well, and it's like it's just another thing where it's like it's not really Superman. It's like it's Superman after he's Superman, and he's like a dad in Smallville, and it's like it's good, it's great. I like Superman and yeah, it's Superman and Lois. It's great, but it's not Superman. So I say all this to say that I started watching My Adventures with Superman, and it was like that Danny DeVito meme of like, I get it now, right? Where it's like, oh, Clark and Lois, they have chemistry. And they're hanging out with Jimmy. He's breathing. and and they're like a trio at the Daily Planet, and you have Perry White, and he's like yelling at them, and they're like, it's like, oh, this is what people, this is what Superman is. I get it now. And yeah, man, I absolutely love it. I've said it before. I think that Clark and Lois in this show is the best couple on television since Pam and Jim from The Office. Like, I absolutely fell in love with them as a couple. I like, that's the main thing that James Gunn needs to get right, in my opinion. I'm like, David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan their chemistry needs to be electric. It needs to be Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Cannot be Henry Cavill and Amy Adams, who you cannot convince me at all that they even like each other. So yeah, all that to say, My Adventures with Superman, absolutely love the show. I absolutely loved season 2, and I cannot wait for season 3. I assume it's coming out this year. Maybe it won't. But that's it, basically. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. But I think this is every comic book movie and TV show coming out in 2025. Let me know what you're most excited for. I probably have to go with Superman. Like, because with that, I have both excitement and curiosity and like morbid anticipation of like, oh, this could be it for the DCU before it even starts properly. So I would probably have to put Superman at the top, but I also think it looks fantastic from the trailer. So, yep, that would be the thing that I'm most anticipating. But let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.